Elisa, LaShell, Sanders, Arnold.
Once again, I'm Elisa, LaShell, the Empowerment Specialist. And before you get out of here tonight, you will have some help, some hope, and some healing. So here we go. Tonight, we're talking about, I know it's wrong, but I can't seem to stop doing it. Now, let me tell you why that's important. As a matter of fact, here's what we're going to do first, because I got to break up a little fallow ground. You guys know I always say you can't fix what you won't face. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a statement. And those of you guys that can, either say it aloud or type it in the comments, because this is how we get free. The first thing we're going to do to get all of ourselves on the same playing field is say this. I'm going to start. I'm Elisa, LaShell, and I am not perfect. You hear that? I need you guys to do that as well. Type that in, but put your name in. I am blank and I am not perfect. So I'm starting. I'm Elisa, LaShell, and I am not perfect. That's the first thing we got to do. We've got to go ahead and tell the truth. Or you can just type in, I'm not perfect. Because a lot of times, here's what happens is, and I'm going to give you, let's see how I'm going to do it, 5 A's that's going to break some fallow ground tonight. 5 A's. Somebody saying they're already seeing themselves off the bat. I'm going to start off by giving us 5 ways to get us towards healing. Tonight, I have a lot of information. There you go. Somebody, I'm Stephanie and I'm not perfect. Thank you, Carlencia, and I'm not perfect. Somebody, you just put your hand wave in the front. Noel, and I'm not perfect. Can we tell the truth tonight? This is how we're going to get encouraged tonight. I'm Teresa and I'm not perfect. Put your name in the comments. Kim Yada, and I am not perfect. Listen, that's the first thing. Melissa, I'm not perfect. Definitely not perfect. The first thing we have to do is say to ourselves and say out loud, I am not perfect. Thank you so much, Adrian. We've got to put that out there because number one is the first thing we have to do is acknowledge. Acknowledge. I am Elisa, LaShell, and I am not perfect. Let's acknowledge that. Thank you guys that are still typing that in. Go ahead and tell the truth. This is how we get free tonight. Type it in the comments. Your name. I am blank and I am not perfect. That's number one. For those of you guys that are keeping track. Number one, the first thing we have to do is acknowledge. Somebody type that down. Number one is acknowledge. We've got to acknowledge that we are not perfect. Listen, sometimes we walk around burdened with unrealistic expectations. This is how we're going to tell the truth. We walk around with this spirit of perfection, thinking that I've got to be perfect. And do you know that's the thing that keeps us bruised, burdened, and broken? That perfection, that aura that, you know what, I've got to be perfect. Listen, it's time to get free. If we were in church, I would tell you to nudge your neighbor and say, neighbor, I don't know but one perfect person, and it is not you. I'm dropping the mic already. Acknowledge. That's the first thing we have to do. We have to acknowledge, listen, I am not perfect. That unrealistic expectation is a burden that we put on ourselves because we think we have to be perfect. And let me go ahead and take it a step further. A lot of times, the very people that walk around being judgmental, being self-righteous, being condescending, those are the people that forgot that there was a time in their lives where they weren't perfect either. Oh yeah, see, that's the thing we got to talk about tonight. A lot of times what we think is getting free, deliverance, we think sometimes it's going to be instantaneous. And now don't get me wrong. There are times when things can happen in an instant. But if I may tell the truth tonight, the truth is most of our deliverance is a process. Most of the times when we want to get free, you better understand that it is a process. It is something that happens little by little. We don't just wake up and all of a sudden that taste is going out of our mouth. We don't wake up and all of a sudden we don't want him anymore. We don't wake up and all of a sudden that tingle is going out the window. A lot of times deliverance is a process. And so let me just go ahead and tell you that we have to acknowledge, number one, that I am not perfect. That's the first thing that we have to acknowledge. Get that burden off of your shoulders, the thing that keeps you weighted down. I'm getting y'all free already at the beginning. All right, Adrian, that thing that makes you think, I gotta be perfect. I gotta cross every T. I gotta dot every I. Listen, I am not. That's right, Cheryl. It is a burden trying to reach perfection because you're going to flunk every time. I'm telling you, I don't know but one perfect person, and it's not me, and I can promise you it's not you. So number 2, the next thing we have to do is admit. Admit is number 2. We have to admit. We have to admit our weaknesses. We have to admit our shortcomings. We have to admit. So number 2 is admit. So here's the second thing I'm going to say. My name is Elisa LaShell, and I need help. Can somebody type that in the comments? My name, or just put in the 3 words, I need help. So I'm starting by being transparent. My name is Elisa LaShell, and I need help. That's me admitting. I'm not only acknowledging the fact that I'm not perfect, but the second thing that I'm doing is admitting that I need help. Because obviously I've tried to do this on my own and I flunked. Obviously I tried to get out of that relationship and kept getting pulled back in. Obviously I tried to quit that habit and for some reason it kept coming back around. So number 1, we're getting free. I've got to acknowledge that I am not perfect, and neither are the people that are trying to judge me. Number 2, I have to admit that I need help. And see, that's how we get free. I told you can't fix what you won't face. And so I'm Elisa LaShell, and I admitted, number 1, that I am not perfect. And number 2, acknowledge that I am not perfect. And number 2, I admit I need help. I told you a lot of us, we walk around and we're under the burden of perfection. We walk around and we think that, I'm just going to wake up and I'm going to be free. Sometimes deliverance isn't instantaneous. Most times it is a process. And can I tell you what happens? A lot of times we want that spontaneous healing. We want that spontaneous deliverance. We want to get out of that issue. But if we never go back and get knowledge, if we never go back and understand, why did we get bound up? What was it that we were weak to? How in the world do I get untangled? We'll find ourselves right back bound. If we don't get information, if we don't listen, do you know, and I'm telling the truth, I'm being transparent tonight, I've been bound up before. I have been weak before. I have had strongholds that have kept me bound. And do you know what it was that helped me get free? It wasn't being condemned. It wasn't being criticized. It wasn't being judged. What it was the truth is what set me free. And see, I get in trouble with people's theology when I say this, but the word says that you will know the truth, and it's the truth that makes you free. When I start hearing the truth about what my issues were, when I start seeing myself for real, when I start seeing other people and seeing things as they were and not what I wanted them to be, I start getting help, healing, and I start being on my way to wholeness. When you know the truth, I'm trying to tell you, that's how you get free. And so I'm admitting that I need help. Can I go ahead and drop the mic early tonight? You can't receive what you don't request. Now that was a mic drop. I need somebody to put up some mic drop emojis. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. You can't receive what you don't request. See, a lot of us are saying, but I need help. Well, did you ask for it? Well, I need help. I don't know how to, but did you ask for it? Listen, we got to tell the truth. Even the Bible says that you have not because you ask not. This is how you can't receive what you don't request. A lot of times we're not healed. We're not whole. We're not in a better place. We need help, but we can't get it because we won't ask for it. I'm trying to help us tonight. You can't receive what you don't request. And that's why I had us to admit who we were, that we're not perfect and that we need help. Help. Somebody just got to type that sometimes. Help. H-E-L-P. Help. You don't receive what you won't request. And so sometimes we have to say help. Help. Yes, it makes us vulnerable. Help. Yes, it makes us look like we don't have it all together because we don't. Help. Sometimes you just got to ask for help. Now, number 3, I'm giving you 5 A's. This is how we're going to break up fallow ground tonight. Number 3, thirdly, we must make some adjustments. Number 3 is adjustments. See, you can't get free being the same way, staying the same, doing the same stuff. If we want to get free, there are some things that we have to adjust. We've got to adjust. There are some lifestyle changes that need adjusting. There are some relationships that need adjusting. There are some attitudes that need adjusting. There are some places that we go that needs adjusting. There may be some things we listen to that need adjusting. There might be some company we keep that need adjusting. So number 3, after you've acknowledged, after you've admitted, number 3, adjust. Some things need adjusting. It's time to make some adjustments. We're talking about getting free from these strongholds, and we're talking about getting free of these things that are addicting us to some bad people, to some bad situations. Number 3, something in our life has to shift. Listen, drugs are not going anywhere. Alcohol isn't disappearing. Men and women will be here. So guess who has to do the shifting? We do. We got to make some adjustments. Number 4, we're breaking up fallow ground, and I'm giving you the 5 A's that help us, first of all, break up this fallow ground so that we can get free tonight. Those of you guys that are just tuning in, thank you so much for joining me in this Mic Drop Monday. We're talking about, I know it's wrong, but I can't stop doing it. We're talking about strongholds. Tonight, we're dealing with addictions. We're getting free, and I'm giving you 5 ways to break up this fallow ground. Number 1 was acknowledging that I'm not perfect. Number 2, admitting we need help. Number 3, making some adjustments. And number 4, some things in your life has to be annulled. Oh yeah, we got to make some annulments. Yeah, some things in our life have to be declared null and void. Annulment. Just like sometimes, a lot of people, especially people that have money in Hollywood, they annul their marriage, meaning they act like it never happened. They get some paperwork done to make that thing null and void in their lives. Well, there are some things in our lives that need to be annulled. There are some things in our lives that need to be stripped of its power. There are some things in our lives that need to be stripped of its position. We got it holding a prominent position in our lives, but there are some things in our lives that need to be annulled. We can't get free. We can't get healed. We can't get delivered because we need some things to be annulled. That's right, Beatrice. I'm going to hit on all of that. So number 4 is annulled. There are things that need to be annulled. And number 5, the last thing, as I'm breaking up fallow ground, how do we get free from these strongholds? How do we get free from these things that are in our lives, these addictions that are keeping us bound? Number 5, it's time to advance. Oh yeah, you can't move forward standing still. I'm dropping the mic tonight. Number 5, advance. We're talking about breaking up fallow ground so we can get free. The last thing that you have to do is advance. I just dropped the mic. You can't move forward standing still. See, a lot of times our lives are on pause because of these addictions, because of these habits. They're robbing us of our progression. They're robbing us of our peace. They're robbing us of our prosperity. They're robbing us of our purpose. But guess what? It's time to advance. You hear me? It is time to advance. And so those are the 5 A's that break up our fallow ground. Acknowledge, admit, adjust, annul, and advance. This is what we're doing tonight. This is what we're doing to get free. Now listen, there are 5 reasons why we ignore the red flags in our lives. And we know that there are things in our lives that are bad for us. See, this is me breaking up fallow ground before I talk to us about how to get free. And I said that a lot of times we want somebody to throw a word on us. We want somebody to throw some oil on us. We want somebody to blow and we fall out and boom, all of our problems are gone. But even the word says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. And what happens is, he said, my people, which means a lot of times our emotions get going. Our spirits feel high and we feel something, but because we don't understand what we're dealing with, because we don't understand how our minds were deceived, because we don't understand what's going on inside of us mentally, emotionally, psychologically, because we don't understand, you know what happens? We fall back prey to what we just got freed from. We get our deliverance and we're not able to keep it. Why? Because we don't have have knowledge, but it is the truth that makes you free. When you hear the truth, you say, wait a minute, is that really what I was doing? Hold on, is that what I was struggling with? This is how we get free. And so I'm going to drop some knowledge, some truth on us tonight. And you know, I always say you can't fix what you won't face. We're going to get rid of strongholds tonight, and we're going to get free, and we're going to deal with addictions tonight. 5 reasons why we ignore these red flags, and we know that these things are bad for us. Number 1, we cling to what's comfortable and familiar, even when it's bad for us. Now, y'all can just hit the love button, or y'all can just drop the mic emoji if I start coming down your street or telling the truth. Number 1, thank you, Tanika. That's what we do, Tanika. We cling to what's comfortable and familiar, even if it's bad for us. See, what we'll tell ourselves, we'll fool ourselves, and we'll say, yeah, I know he's cheating. Yeah, I know she doesn't mean me any good. Yeah, I know this is a dead-end situation, but I'd rather deal with the hell I know than the hell that I don't know. We cling to it because it's comfortable, it's familiar. Well, he might be an alcoholic, but I know what he's gonna do. She might be a cheater, but at least I know her patterns. This might be a dead-end job, but at least I know what to expect every day. We cling to what's comfortable and familiar, even if it is bad for us. Because let me tell you something. Psychologically and biologically, we're programmed to desire things to be steady. We want certainty. We want comfort. Psychologically, I'm telling you guys. So what happens is we think that the only way we're able to survive, that's right, Pastor Knighton says, nothing ever grows in a comfort zone. We think that if we keep things steady, if we stay in things that are familiar, we're going to survive. We think, well, I made it this far, and let me not rock the boat. We don't want to. And so we will accept situations in our lives that are less than ideal. They're not suitable for us. They don't fit. They're not tolerable because we say, well, it's acceptable. I don't want to get out there and do what I don't know. What if I walk away, even though that's bad? What if I get past this? What if I let that go? And then what? And it's that, and then what? That's what gets us stuck. And so why do we not move forward? We cling to what's comfortable and familiar. We're talking about addictions. We're talking about strongholds. We're talking about why we never get free. My topic tonight is I know it's wrong, but I can't seem to stop doing it. Well, the first reason that we ignore the fact that it's wrong is because we want to stay with what's familiar and comfortable. Even, let me tell you something, even though it's not comfortable living in a house with somebody that's abusive, even if it's verbal, even if it's emotional. It's not comfortable being connected and laying down with somebody and you know that they're cheating on you. Even though it's familiar, stop fooling yourself and thinking it's comfortable. It's not comfortable knowing that you're an alcoholic and that you don't know how to stop drinking. Even though that bottle is familiar, it's not comfortable. So psychologically, we will fool ourselves and we will put ourselves in a comfort zone, and we will tell ourselves, well, I'm comfortable like this. No, you're just familiar. Familiar and comfort is not the same thing. I hope I'm helping y'all tonight. I told y'all I was going to be off the chain. This is one of those nights where we got to get free, and you can't fix what you won't face. Number 2, why do we ignore these red flags? What is it that keeps us stuck in these things that won't let us free? Well, number 2, we doubt our instincts when something tells us that something is wrong. Oh yeah, we know, we call it the uh-oh feeling. We call it the unction. We call it that sixth sense. We know that something is wrong. We know that it's not right. We're looking at you in the face and we know you're lying. We smell something on you and we know what that scent is. But we will tell ourselves, no, let me talk that. We see, these lights, they're flashing red lights. They are identical. We see them clearly. This is not the right thing. This is a lie. This is not good for you. This is somebody manipulating you. This is somebody being abusive. But we tell ourselves that, you know what? I'm just going to overlook that. You know what? I don't want to be judgmental. So let me just pretend like this is not what it is. You know what? I'm just overreacting. So let me look the other way and pretend as though this is really not helping me in my life. But let me tell you something. There is a difference between accepting and overlooking. I'm dropping the mic. That was a mic drop. Do you hear me? I'm going to say it for the people in the back. there is a difference between accepting and overlooking. Just because you overlook something, don't fool yourself into thinking you're supposed to accept it. So you're trying to overlook the fact that this is going on. You're trying to overlook the fact that you don't know why you're overeating. You're trying to overlook the fact that you don't understand why you're so derogatory towards yourself. You're trying to overlook the fact that you have a porn addiction. You're trying to overlook the fact that you don't know how to get a handle on your finances. But listen to me, overlooking something and accepting it is not the same thing. I'm trying to help us. Thirdly, why do we ignore these red flags? Why do we overlook these things even when we know that they're not any good for us? Because number 3, we don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. See, let me tell you something. We like to feel confident and strong and positive and healthy. You know, even so when something tries to come and make us feel like we're in a bad mood, if something tries to come and rock our world, oh no, we try to look at it. We try to squeeze our eyes and make it be something that it really is not. See, what happens is sometimes we can get to a place where we're so dysfunctional emotionally that we need to believe something. We know it's not true. We know that it's not acceptable, but because we just need to, because we want to live that lie to make ourselves feel better, we will overlook these ways. We will pretend like it's something that it is not. We'll be inclined to disregard things because we don't want to see them as they are. We want to see them as we are. We want to say, you know what? I don't want my life shifting. I don't want the boat rocked. So let me just see that. No, that's not him cheating. Let me just see. No, that's not her lying. Let me just see this the way I need to see it because I don't need my life shifted. I don't want to rock the boat. So we see things not as they are, but as we are. And so this is the thing that keeps us stuck. I hope I'm helping. Number 4, these are why we ignore these red flags. Why do we keep doing these things when we know that they are bad for us? Number 4, we choose the mistake because we want the lesson. You hear me? We choose the mistake because we want the lesson. See, a lot of us, we see the red flags. We go into something anyway. We already see that he was a slickster when we rolled up on her. We already see that she was going to start manipulating us before we got close to her. We already see that this is something that's going to be an addiction. We already see that this is something that's robbing us of our peace. We see it, but subconsciously we're telling ourselves, you know what? But there's going to be a lesson in this for me. Woo, that's just going to be a lesson. So let me just wait this out so I can just see the lesson that's going to bless my life. This is what subconsciously we're telling ourselves. It's okay because at the end of it, I'm going to grow. I'm going to be a better person. Let me just wait till this slaps me upside my head. Let me just wait until I hit my head against the wall. Let me just wait. Listen to me. Do you understand how dysfunctional that is? That's just like saying I'm driving and I am headed towards a brick wall. I see clearly that the sign on this road says dead end, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to accelerate the gas and I'm going to run into it so that I can say next time I need to turn left. Next time I'm going to remember next time to buckle up. I'm going to remember next time to read the signs. No, a lot of times we fool ourselves into thinking that the only way we can learn a lesson is that we got to go through hell. That the only way we're going to learn a lesson is that we got to get our heart broke. The only way we're going to learn a lesson is that we allow ourselves to be mistreated, that we got to go through it so bad. Hear me, people. That's not the only way that you can learn how to feel good about yourself. That's not the only way that you can learn the lesson of life. If you see yourself headed down a wrong road, you can say stop. Y'all better hear me tonight. I hope I'm helping. We're talking about addictions. We're talking about I know it's wrong, but I can't seem to get free. Those of you guys that just came on, make sure that you're sharing. If you have not already, share this with somebody. I believe that there is help, there is hope, and there is healing tonight. So here we go. Hey, Leah. Faith says she just wrote a poem saying all of this. See, we're in the vibe. Thank you, Karen. The last reason why we ignore these red flags and we do things that we know are bad for us is because despite all the reasons not to be, we want to hold on to hope. You hear me? Despite all the reasons that that we shouldn't be in these situations, we want to hold on to hope. See, what we'll do is we'll disillusion ourselves. We will see that the thing that we're doing is detrimental. We will know for a fact that we are over medicating. We will know for a fact that we have ostracized ourselves into this abyss of depression. We will know for a fact that we are dealing with things that are detrimental for ourselves. We will know for a fact that these things are hurting us emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We will know them for a fact, but we'll just decide, I'm going to hold on to hope. I'm just going to keep bleeding. I see that I've been stabbed. I see that this is causing me to bleed out, but I'm just going to wait for my healing. I'm just going to hold on that one day. Listen, my mama used to say, sweetie, God also gives you common sense. And so a lot of times we hold on to hope. We just think, that's right, Nicole said it right out of my mouth. We think to ourselves, you know what? I can fix this. I can do this. I am the nurse. I am the healer. I am the fixer. I am the restorer. Listen, who put you in the place of God? See, we tell ourselves these things, and that's why we never get delivered, because we've disillusioned ourselves into believing that we're the ones that can fix it. You know what? I'm just going to take it because sooner or later, you better hear me, along with your hope and along with your faith, you better sprinkle in some common sense. I'm hoping I'm helping y'all tonight. Now, I do a lot of research. I do a lot of reading, as a matter of fact. Thank you guys that are already telling the things that you need to be freed from, because we're going to have a moment where if you need to be free, listen, we're going to talk about that. Latrice, thank you so much for joining. We're going to get free tonight. I studied this professor. He is a professor of clinical and health psychology at the University of Rhode Island. And one of the things that he said was that there are 6 phases that we all go through. There are 6 phases that we deal with, and as we are coming to the place of getting free of addictions, as we coming to the place where we're trying to get free. The first thing he says that we do is something called PreContemplation. It is when you know that there's a problem, and I want you to identify, what phase am I in? Because if you can't identify which of these 6 phases you're in, you can't get the help, the hope, and the healing that you need, that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. So number 1, PreContemplation. That's when you know that there is a problem, but you're not even thinking about changing at this point. You think it's impossible. You don't think you really have a problem, or you're just in denial. You're just saying, you know what? This problem is going to go away on its own. Hey, Michelle, see, this is how we start getting free. I want you to see which phase are you in, because we want to get some help, some hope, and some healing tonight. So number 1, PreContemplation. That's the first phrase. That's when we know that there is something in our life that is detrimental, something that's going to turn into an addiction, something that is wrong, something that is going to make our lives miserable. But you know what? We're not thinking about changing at this point. We think either it's impossible that we can get out of it, or we say to ourselves, I don't really even have a problem. You know what? Or you just stay in denial, or you just think, I'm just going to ignore it. The problem will go away on its own. Is that you? You have to ask yourself a question. Is that me? Number 2, thank you so much, Marcus. I appreciate you. Number 2, the second phase is contemplation. You're starting to acknowledge, whoa, wait a minute. I have an unhealthy relationship with something. Maybe I have an unhealthy relationship with food. Maybe I have an unhealthy relationship with somebody else. Maybe I have an unhealthy relationship with drugs, with alcohol, with tobacco. Somebody said cigarettes, with sex, with gambling, with pornography. You start saying, wait a minute, I think that something in my life is unhealthy, and you're trying to see, wait a minute, let me see if it's worth the effort for me to change. Let me see, because I don't really know. Did you know that some people can stay in the contemplation phase for years, just sitting there thinking? Thank you guys that are being honest and saying, I see me. You have to ask yourself, which phase am I in? Am I in pre-contemplation? Am I thinking of knowing that something is wrong, but I don't even see a solution, or I think it's going to go away? Or am I in the contemplation phase, where I'm saying, this is unhealthy. He's unhealthy. She's unhealthy. This habit is unhealthy. So let me weigh this out. Let me see if I need to do anything about it. That's phase 2. The third phase is preparation. This is when you're saying, you know what? I'm at the point where I need to make a decision. I'm at the point where let me get this information together. Let me make some phone calls. Let me get me some accountability partners. Let me look on the web. I'm emotionally prepared to make some changes. Let me start trying to set some goals. Let me start laying the groundwork because I want to change. If that's you, see, you're in the contemplation phase. Number 4, the fourth phase is called action. That's the action phase. You're actively doing something about your problem. You're trying out lifestyle changes. Maybe you stopped buying potato chips and eating them at night. Maybe you started going to the gym. Maybe you made an appointment to see a counselor. Maybe you start really putting in some things in your life to say, I got to set some goals for me to change. That is called the action stage. Now, there are some of you all that might be in stage 5. Hey, Darren. Some of you all may be in stage 5, and that is the maintenance stage. Thank you, Anthony. The maintenance stage is when you say, listen, I made some changes. I'm trying to stick to them. I'm trying to learn how to work through these obstacles. I really want to spend my life in this maintenance stage. I want to maintain what I have. If that's you, you're in stage 5. But wait a minute. Let us not forget, because this is the thing that trips us. Number 6 is the recycling relapse stage. That is, some people get to maintenance and they just stay there. They don't think, listen, the first time you might flunk. This is how we get free. We got to be real, raw, and relevant. There are times, any of us that have tried to get past somebody, any of us that have tried to work our way out of an addiction, hear me, people, there is a stage called the recycling and the relapse stage. And a lot of times, the reason why we can't get free is because there's nobody to encourage us when we flunk. There's nobody to pick us up when we mess up. We said we were through with them. We understand that they're unhealthy. We walked away. But this is the part we don't want to tell people, but we snuck back in the midnight hour. But we picked back up that habit. But we started doing it again, even though we had told ourselves. And this time it's got to be a secret, because we acted so big and bad when we got away from it. We acted so big and bad when we were walking in deliverance. But then guess what? We messed up. We flunked. And because people can be so judgmental, because people can be so self-righteous, because people can be so condescending, we deal with guilt, we deal with shame, we deal with embarrassment, because we thought we were over it. We thought we were past it. We thought we were free. I'm trying to tell you, a lot of times people lead us to believe that all deliverance is instantaneous. Girl, just give it to Jesus. Girl, just let them throw some oil at you and you're just going to be free. But listen to me. There are some things that is a process. There are some things that we go through that you don't get out of it quick. It took you a minute to get in it, and you better understand that it's going to take you a minute to walk out of it. But the trick is knowing that you're in the issue. The trick is knowing what you're up against and putting a plan together to get out. People perish because of lack of knowledge. When you know the truth makes you free. It's when you begin to understand, where am I? What is going on? God, I need your help so that I can see clearly. I need your help so that I can acknowledge. I need your help so that I can see what's really going on in my life, because I don't want to live in a cycle of recycle. I'm dropping the mic again. I don't want to live in a cycle of recycle. If I am going to go through it again, let it be that I've purged out some of the things. Well, you know what? I flunked this time, but guess what? That next time, yeah, I might fall, but I didn't fall as quick. You know what? I said I was going to hold this back, and yeah, I gave it up. But that next time, you know what? I held on to it a little longer. Sometimes we don't understand that deliverance is a process, and we beat ourselves up and we kick ourselves out the game and we put ourselves out of the ring and we tell ourselves we're defeated because we messed up. But guess what? God didn't give us more than one chance for nothing. He knew that we were going to need to be recycled. He knew that we were going to relapse, and we were going to need grace and mercy to step us back up and put us back in the ring. You better tell yourself, I am not defeated. Can you type that in the comments? I am not defeated. That's what the enemy wants us to believe. Wants us to believe that we're defeated. Wants us to know that, you know what, we're not going to get out of this. Want us to think that we're going to be stuck in this cycle for the rest of our lives. But not so. I am not defeated. Thank you guys that are joining me. Thank you guys that are just joining. Welcome those of you guys that came on in here later. I appreciate that so much. I hope that you guys have been sharing this. I see so many people, new people that are coming on, and so I'm so grateful to you. If you came on late, make sure that you go back to the beginning because I'm shifting into second gear into part 2. At the beginning, I talked about the 5 things we need to break up the fallow ground so that we can walk towards help, hope, and healing. I talked about how to recognize those 5 things that keep us staying in situations when we know it's bad for us. And then I just gave us 6 phases that we might be in, and I want you to identify yourself in all of those phases. But I just asked somebody to make a declaration. I am not defeated. I want you guys, I see you on there. I am not defeated. I'm agreeing with everybody that typed that in. I am not defeated. That's right, Natalie, you are not defeated. That's right, Lavon, you are not defeated. This is how we get free tonight. That's right, Marion, I am not defeated. Thank you guys for making these declarations tonight. That's right, Cheryl, I refuse to be defeated. Betty, I am not defeated. I'm in agreement, Michelle, I'm not defeated. Now, we're getting ready to get to the meat of the issue, and I'm going to talk about how to overcome an addiction or a stronghold. Miss Carolyn, thank you so much for watching tonight. That's right, I am not defeated. That's right, I am not defeated. So we're going to talk. Thank you to all the ladies from the We Are Wives Facebook group that are tuning in tonight. Let me give a special shout out to Sherry McFadder and the We Are Wives Facebook group. Ladies, if you're married or engaged and you want a real and raw group of ladies that talk about issues with being engaged, issues with being married, go on over to that group, the We Are Wives group led by Sherry McFadder. Thank you guys so much. They had me on a live segment last month, and I appreciate all of you guys that are joining. So I wanted to give you guys a shout out. James Hubbard has a lot of his friends that are watching. So thank you guys. I appreciate when you guys share this with your friends. And I appreciate all of you guys that were invited and that you guys came on. Let me pause and give you guys a shout out. Thank you so much. I hope that you're sharing. All right. So we're moving into the meat of the segment tonight. We're talking about, I know it's wrong, but I can't stop doing it. So now we're going to talk about how, thank you, Leah, how to overcome addictions. We're going to, and listen, this is grown folks tonight. We're going to get into these things. That's right, Jay, I'm not defeated. That's right, Tina said, I won't be defeated. That's right. So this is what we're going to talk about, how to overcome an addiction. So number 1, and it's going to sound simple, but this is the hardest and the most important step in how to overcome a stronghold, how to overcome an addiction. And those of you guys that are going to drop the mic or say, I see me, or type this in, here it is, how to overcome an addiction or a stronghold. Number 1, decide to quit. You got that? Number 1, decide to quit. I'm going to say it one more time for those in the back. Number 1, how do you overcome an addiction or a stronghold? Number 1, you have to decide to quit. Let me tell you why that's important. A lot of times, we go back into the same issues. We deal with the same things because we're so busy dealing with it that we never make a conscious decision that I don't want to do this anymore. We never make a conscious decision to say, you know what? I'm tired of this. I don't want to go forward anymore. We never stop. And that's what I want us to do tonight. Those of us, and I'm saying us because there is something in all of our lives. Ernestine says the Monroe Comprehensive High School alumni are watching tonight. Here's a shout out for you guys. Thank you for watching and joining me in this Mic Drop Monday. So number 1, decide to quit. Even the Bible. See, let me tell you something, and I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of some misnomers that we have. We like to act as though something else is making us stay in these bad habits. Something else is making us, and don't get me wrong, the devil and all his imps will do everything they can to influence you, but at the end of the day, we have to understand that we are free moral agents. Even the Bible, and let me go for you guys that want to be critical, even the word says to choose ye this day whom you will serve. As a matter of fact, it says, if it seems evil to you, then you choose you this day which way you're going to go. Are you going to keep doing it? Are you going to quit? You have free will. And so what happens is a lot of times we don't get free because it's easier to blame our bondage on somebody else. I'm dropping the mic part 2. I'm dropping this mic. The reason we don't get free is because it's easier to blame our bondage on somebody else. We don't like to take responsibility for the fact that we have a choice. We don't like to take responsibility for the fact that if we ever got tired enough, we could do something about it. We don't want to take responsibility for the fact that nobody made us marry them. Nobody made us pick up that bottle. Nobody made us sleep with that married man. Nobody made us go cheat. Nobody made us get addicted to porn. We don't like to admit that at the end of the day, we have a choice. I'm talking about how to get free. There's help, there's hope, there's healing. And so I'm ending, this is my part 2. I'm shifting over into the deliverance part of what we're doing tonight. We're talking about, I know it's wrong, but I can't seem to stop doing it. Number 1, how do I overcome an addiction? I have to, number 1, decide to quit. And I just dropped the mic and said it's easier to blame our bondage on somebody else. That means we cannot take responsibility. The devil made me do it. No, they made me do this. Listen, bless you, Prophet Samuel, for being on the broadcast. I appreciate that. We like to pretend as though what we're doing and the way that we're going, that's tied up with somebody else. They made me do that. Thank you, Gina. But even the word says, resist the devil and he will flee. And so if it seems evil to you, number 1, decide to quit. If it seems evil to you, then you make a decision. Are you going to keep doing this? Are you going to stay in that relationship? You want to be an alcoholic? Do you want to be a drug addict? Do you want to be addicted to pornography? Do you want to stay in these sexual soul ties with people that don't mean you any harm? Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Lola. Decide to quit. This is the first thing you have to do. Make a decision. Choose ye this day if this is what you're going to do. And that's the first thing. Listen, your deliverance begins in your mind. You better understand this. That's why you have to be renewed. And that's why your mind, you can't be transformed until you renew your mind. And so you have to bring this to yourself and say, wait a minute, I've got to make a decision to quit. Now, I'm not, you guys know me. I don't just give you the problems and talk about the issues. I like to give you solutions. Now, I'm going to help you help yourself. How do I decide to quit? Well, and I told y'all this is going to get real raw and relevant. Decide to quit. Well, the first thing that you do, and psychological experts say, if you're really serious about getting free, if you're really serious about breaking strongholds, if you're really serious about letting go of addictions, then here's what you do. Number 1, I just said you decide to quit. Well, how do I do that? Well, and I'm going to say, I'm not going to say number 2, but 1A. The first thing you do, write a list of the harmful effects that your addiction and your stronghold has. You ready? I'm trying to tell you, this is how you get free. The first thing, when you decide to quit, how do I decide to quit? Well, the first thing, A, is you write a list of the harmful effects that your actions are having on your life. You look and see, how is this addiction? How is this stronghold hurting me physically? How is it hurting me mentally? How is it hurting me emotionally? How is it hurting me financially? How is it messing up the other relationships in my life? What is it making me daily have to do to commit to it? Here's a real life example. If you are a cheater and you say, you know what? My stronghold is cheating. I am cheating on the person that I am with. I am a habitual cheater. I cannot stay faithful. Well, this is how we get real. I want to give you a real life example. If your addiction is cheating and you're saying, I don't know, I want to be faithful, I want to be committed, but I'm in the middle of an affair, I'm in the middle of this adultery, I cannot stop cheating. Well, you make a list of the harmful effects that cheating is having on you. You say things like, well, wait a minute. So the first thing I'm having to do with cheating is I'm having to lie all the time. That's a harmful effect. I'm always having to lie. I'm always having to make up an alibi. I'm having to come up with, I was over here. Let me figure out. Let me come up with an alibi. Let me see who I can tell them I was with. Let me see what I can explain that I'm doing. So let me come up with an alibi. The other harmful effect, you make a list. I'm showing you how to make a list. See, a lot of times people say, well, I don't know how to get free. Well, listen, baby, tonight I'm walking you through the freedom and deliverance process. If you want to get free, I just said, number one, you're transformed by the renewing of your mind. If it seems evil to you, choose this day. So number one is you decide to quit. You decide, I'm not doing this. You stop trying to blame your issues and pass the blame of your burden onto somebody else, and take responsibility for the issues that you're facing. Take responsibility. I'm in this issue. I'm having this problem. I'm in this addiction because I started doing it, but I'm deciding to quit. And the way that I decide to quit is you make a list of the harmful effects that thing is having on your life. So we're talking about cheating. If you are a cheater, you start asking yourself, let me make a list of all of the things that I have to do to cheat. Well, number one, I have to lie. I have to come up with an alibi. Now I got to get my buddies and my friends involved. I got to get my girlfriend to lie and say I was over her house. I got to get my friend to say that I went out of town with him to a game. I got to get other people involved, all because I'm addicted to cheating. Now, what's another stronghold? What's another harmful effect of cheating? Well, now you're always afraid of being exposed. You're thinking at any time somebody can expose me. Somebody could be watching. Somebody could be taking pictures. Somebody could be looking over the person's shoulder that's texting me back. So you have to say, what is a negative or a harmful effect that this addiction is having on my life? Here's another one. You risk getting caught. You got to spend money because you got to get to a hotel. You got to spend money because you got to hide. You got to spend money. Here's another risk. You stressed out when you're cheating because you're trying to think, well, what is the other person doing when they're not with me? Wonder if they're being intimate with the person that they're with. Wonder if they're spending money on their significant other. Wonder if they're somewhere being booed up. So now you've got to deal with all of these emotions. When you're a cheater, you have to look at the negative things that are going on in your life. Now you're saying, well, now I can't go to sleep because I text him and he didn't reply back. So I wonder if he's somewhere booed up with her. This is what we do. This is what we have to do to get free. We have to make a list. You can't fix what you won't face. You have to make a list of all of the things that are harmful that will bring harm to you if you stay in this place. Another one, you risk disease. You don't know what that other person is doing when they're not with you. You just said, well, I'm a cheater, so that means I'm with somebody else, which means they could possibly be with somebody else. You know doggone well you're not mandating that they bring you paperwork from their GYN. They're not bringing you paperwork from the clinic. They're not coming to you and saying, well, I just got retested. Most times when you are a cheater, y'all just meeting so you can hit and quit, and you're not going through the steps of finding out, is this person exposing me to something that could harm my body? Is this person exposing me to something that I could potentially bring back to my house? A lot of times, those of us that have dealt with strongholds, those of us even now that are dealing with strongholds, we want to be free. We want to get healed. We want to get help. We need hope. We just don't know how. Nobody sits down because either they're so busy bashing the Bible over us, either they're so busy pouring oil down our throats that they're not teaching us how do we get delivered. What is going on in my mind? What is going on in my emotions? What is going on with me spiritually? I need to know what is going on so that I can not just be delivered, but stay delivered. So this is what we're doing. You make a list and you say, what are the negative effects of the things that I am doing? If you are an alcoholic, you make a list. What are the negative effects that alcohol has on my life? Well, when I'm drunk, I don't remember what I did. When I'm drunk, when I want to drink, I need to go out there and spend more money on alcohol. When I'm drunk, I know I'm going to be mean. I know I'm going to be irate. I know I'm not going to be thinking clearly. You make a list of the negative and harmful effects that your behavior, that your addiction, that your stronghold has on your life. You make a list and say, wait a minute, what is this thing doing to me? If your addiction is porn, you make a list of how is porn hurting my life. Well, it's keeping me from experiencing real intimacy with the people that I want to. It keeps me stuck behind the wall. It keeps me having to hide. It keeps me being full of shame because I don't want to tell anybody. What is my addiction doing? What kind of effect is my addiction having on my life? So you make a list. You tell yourself, is my addiction food? Because if my addiction is food and I am overeating, then what kind of negative effects is this addiction having on my life? Well, besides the fact that I'm gaining weight, I don't want people to know that I'm overeating, so I'm sneaking food. I'm waking up late at night because I don't want my children to see me doing this, and I'm sneaking and doing them, and I'm putting on pounds, and guess what? It's turning into diabetes. It's turning into high blood pressure. Now I'm not able to function like I need. I'm spending more money because this is an unhealthy addiction. You go and you make a list. Whatever your addiction is, whatever your stronghold is, what you have to do is, number one, decide to quit, and then you look it in the face and you make a list and you say, what in the world is going on with me? And let me list the ways that this is hurting my life. You can't fix what you won't face. Y'all know this is what I say all the time. The next thing that you do is you have to say to yourself, I need a reason to quit. I need a reason to quit. What is my reason for quitting? Well, if I stop cheating, then I can give more time to my family. If I start being addicted to sex, I can figure out what in the world is it that's drawing me to that thing. I can figure out if I sit and I look at what is my stronghold, what is that thing that is keeping me in bondage. If I make a list, I can think of, wait a minute, why do I need to quit? I need to quit because it's hurting my life. I need to quit because my children are suffering. I need to quit because I'm not able to have any healthy relationships. Make a reason. Number one, I just said, how do you break the addiction? How do you break that stronghold? People perish because of lack of knowledge, and we all want to feel good, and we all want a word, and we all think that things are going to happen instantaneous, but there are some things in our lives that is a process of deliverance. And so we have to get away from pretending like we are walking in perfection. We have to get away from trying to front as though that we have it all together, and we have to admit to ourselves, I am dealing with some strongholds. There are some things in my life, food, spending, adultery, drinking, alcohol, sex, medicine, that I don't know how to get past. And so number one, how do you overcome an addiction? You decide to quit. I just told you guys how to make a list of the negative effects that those addictions have on your life. You put it out plain. You know as good as anybody else what detriment this thing is causing on your life. You know more than anybody else what stronghold, what struggle, what's this doing to yourself emotionally. Let me drop this nugget in here while I'm on this. In the Bible, in James 1:14, it says that, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust. So I want to go ahead and break up a fallow ground right here. We think that the only thing that we're tempted with or that we can overcome are things that are outside of who we are. But listen, you're tempted with what you want. You're tempted to what it is that excites you. You're tempted with the things that really appeal to you. Stop trying to make it seem like something just fell out the sky and landed in your lap and you don't have a clue how you got addicted. No, you got addicted to something because it was something that already was in you. There was something. And see, we don't like to talk about this because that's that thing that we have to reveal. That's that thing that we don't like to acknowledge. That's that thing that we never want to own up to. But even the word says that we're led away and tempted by the things that we want. So guess what? If you're addicted to spending money, well then somewhere something is that you want is leading you away. If sex or porn is your addiction, there is something in there that you want. Whatever your addiction is, you have to understand that you better search the seed. I'm dropping the mic tonight. You got to search the seed. Listen to me. Everything that takes root in your life begins with a seed. So you better search the seed. I need somebody to type that in the comments. Search the seed. You've got to go and find out, what is it that caused me to be addicted to this? What is it? And I just said that a lot of times we're not able to get help, hope, or healing because the people that we want to talk to, we fear retaliation. We fear judgment. We fear criticism. People don't know how to help us. People come with us pretending as though they're perfect. They're coming to us pretending as though they've got it all together. But what we have to do, number one, is search the seed. The word says in James 1:14, listen, but every man is tempted when he's drawn away of his own lust. So what we have to do is look inside of ourselves and figure out, there's a seed somewhere in me. And if I want to be free, what I better stop doing, stop just trying to walk away from the thing. I'm going to just stop doing this. No. There was a lust. There was a seed somewhere on the inside of you that caused you to go out to get that. And I'm going to help you figure out how to search the seed. And it's in the word too. It's so funny that in First John 2:16, the Bible says that for all there is in the world, there are three lusts. I just said the word said we're led away of our lust. There's the lust of the flesh, there's the lust of the eyes, and there is the pride of life. If you ever want to search the seed and figure out, why am I addicted to that? Why is this a stronghold? Why am I not able to get free of that? How do I search the seed? What am I lusting after? Well, number one, the Bible tells us that there is the lust of the flesh. And I'm going to break that down for you tonight. What you have to figure out, what makes us comfortable. Listen, you want to figure out why you're staying in an addiction. Somewhere there is a lust of the flesh. Something is appealing to you and it's bringing you some type of comfort. Listen to me. If the addiction is porn, there is something, the lust of the flesh, there is some type of addiction, some type of comfort that you're getting out of this. Y'all better hear me. Whatever your addiction, I just said, search the seed. The word says every man is tempted when he's drawn away of his own lust. So we got to figure out, well, what is the lust? Well, number one, there is the lust of the flesh. What is it that appeals to us and makes us comfortable? Yeah, this man is cheating on me. Yeah, this woman is an alcoholic. Yeah, this is an abusive relationship. Yes, I'm addicted to drugs. Yes, I'm struggling with pornography. Yes, I'm overeating. Well, listen, the lust of the flesh says, what is it that is bringing comfort to my body? What is it? So if I'm overeating, there is a comfort. I got to search the seed. What is it that I'm trying to feel? What void is food supposed to be filling for me? What void is sex supposed to be fulfilling for me? What void is alcohol supposed to be fulfilling for me? There is a void in my life somewhere, and I've got to search to see what is making me comfortable. Somewhere I'm getting something out of this. See, this is the part where we get a little quiet. Somewhere in that addiction, there is a comfort for me. I'm finding comfort in that. I'm finding refuge in something that I'm doing. Because if I'm in a place where I am not able to get free of this addiction and I am led away of my own lust, well, the first one is the lust of the flesh. So you got to ask yourself, where is the place where I am feeling comforted? What is comforting my flesh? What is pacifying my emotions? Number two is the lust of the eye. Now let me tell you about the lust of the eye. A lot of times we stay in addictions because of perception. Two things of perception. Either we're trying to make it be what it's not. We're trying to see it as love when it's really lust. We're trying to look at it as healthy when we know it's unhealthy. We're trying to look at it as just a bad habit when it's really an addiction. It's the lust of the eyes. We're trying to see it as something when we know that that's not what it is. The other thing that's the lust of the eyes is other people's opinions. We stay in bad relationships. We stay in strongholds because we don't want to tell the truth and risk the judgment of other people. So there's a lust of the eye. There is trying to look good in front of other people. There is trying to have a certain persona. There is trying to look the part in front of other people. The lust of the eye is we want to be appealing to other people. We don't want them to know that there is detriment on the inside of us. We don't want them to know that there is damage on the inside of us. We don't want them to know that there is destruction on the inside of us. We don't want them to know that there is something on the inside of us. And so that lust of the eye causes us to appear whole when we're really broken, to appear free when we're really in bondage. And so we will allow the opinions of others, their judgment, their condescending attitude, their self-righteousness to keep us in bondage because we are afraid to move forward. Thirdly, it is the pride of life. And for a lot of us, the pride of life really is speaking to entitlement. A lot of the reason we can't get free, we can't walk in wholeness, we can't get past our addictions is, I just told us, we're led away of our own lust. So something in that addiction is fulfilling to us. Something in that addiction is fulfilling our flesh. Somewhere we want to look a certain way. But thirdly, the pride of life, we feel entitled. Well, I'm supposed to have that. We want more than that's owed to us. We just feel like this is what we're supposed to have. We just feel entitled to things. And so the pride of life keeps us in bondage. It keeps us in stuff longer than we had anticipated. And so how do we get free? Pastor Knight, I really appreciate you. How do we get free? Well, number two, I just said, number one, you decide to quit. And those of you guys that came on, I'm toward the end, but you got to make sure and that you go watch the beginning from the beginning when I talked about how to recognize the things that keep you in bondage, when I identified some of these misnomers and these untruths that stay in our minds that keep us from admitting that we have a problem. Make sure you go and watch this from the beginning. But we're talking about tonight, how in the world do we get free? Number one, we decide to quit. I just told you guys, stop putting the burden of your brokenness on other people. Stop putting the burden of your bondage on other people. Stop pretending like you're not able to get free because somebody's making you bound. No, you're a free will agent. If it seemed evil to you, then you choose this day. You make a decision about the way that you're going to walk. So you decide to quit. I told you that in deciding to quit, you make a list of the negative consequences that your addiction is having on your life, mentally, spiritually, financially, emotionally. The next thing you do is you make a plan. I'm going to walk you through this psychological deliverance. You make a plan. You set a date. You set a date. On this day, I am going to stop drinking. On this day, I am going to end this affair. On this day, I am going to stop overeating. On this day, I am going to stop being negative towards myself. On this day, you make a date. You have to have a plan. You make a date. Mark it on your calendar. You make a date and stick with it and say, in this day, on this day, what I am going to do is make a decision to stop doing what I am doing. Now, when you make that date, the next thing you have to do is seek support. You have to say, let me get from around my friends who are normalizing my dysfunctions, who are telling me stuff like, girl, everybody cheat. Just keep letting him mistreat you. People do that. You're just going to go from one bad man to another. Stop being around people who normalize your dysfunctions and seek you some support. Find you some people that's going to tell you the truth. Get around some accountability partners. Find you people, counselors, clergy, people that can help support you, people that can keep you on track, people that can say, wait a minute, this date is coming up. You know you said by June 1st. You know you said after 2 weeks. You know you said in 7 days. Seek support. The third thing you do after you set the date and seek support, you identify your triggers. Now, this is the part that we have problems with. And y'all know I keep saying you can't fix what you won't face. Identify your triggers. If you know that when you watch a movie late at night, it's going to make you want to get a snack, eat in bed, fall asleep, wake up with your stomach hurt and gain weight, and that food is your problem, then identify the fact that you need to stop watching movies late at night. I know it sounds simple, but listen to me. You identify your triggers. If you know that when you text that man after lunchtime, something in you already is on fire, you already know you're going to feel more inclined to respond to them, then you need to put your phone on silent mode during lunchtime. I'm trying to help you all identify your triggers. You have to get to a point where you identify your triggers. If you know you have a weakness for something, if you know you have a weakness for somebody, you have to identify your triggers. If you are an alcoholic, you drink when you're depressed, you need to automatically know, I just got some bad news. So instead of running to the bar, let me run to an accountability partner. Let me run home. Let me run to my grandmama's house. Let me find somebody that I can talk my issues through instead of running to alcohol. If sex is your problem, if every time you get stressed, if every time something bothers you, I'm just going to take it out in sex, whether it's pornography, whether it is cheating, whether whatever it is, if you know that that is your body's way of acting out, then identify, you know what, when am I susceptible to this man? When am I susceptible to this woman? I'm talking about people that really want to get free. I'm talking about people that really want to break the strongholds on their lives. You set a date and you say, at this date, I'm calling it quits. Come hell or high water, I am walking out of this relationship. You set a date and you stick with it. I am turning down that bottle on this day. You set a date and you stick with it. Secondly, you seek support. You find you an accountability partner. You find somebody that you can say, listen, I'm working towards getting free and I'm going to need some help. I'm going to need somebody to encourage me. I'm going to need somebody to check on me. I'm going to need somebody to keep me encouraged. Thirdly, you identify your triggers. If you know that this thing puts you in this kind of mood, then you need to mark that down as a trigger. Whoa, no. I know every time I put my red dress on, I start feeling frisky. Listen, send that thing to Goodwill. If you know every time I smoke, I start feeling like I want to creep, then you better identify that trigger. Figure out what your triggers are so that you can start walking towards freedom and healing. The next thing that you do, how do you get free? Start ramping down your habit. One of the things that kills us is a lot of us think that we can go cold turkey. A lot of us think that, we just out there, if I don't want to do it anymore, I'm just going to stop. Listen to me. I have been in bondage before, and I guarantee you, I could tell myself I was quitting cold turkey all day. But the truth of the matter was I kept flunking. Kept going back, kept falling for the same stuff. What happens is you have to start ramping down your habit. If there is something that you are addicted to, what you have to do is start putting limitations on it. If you say, for instance, I am addicted to porn and I watch porn 5 hours a day, then you say, you know what, next week, I'm going to ramp it down to 1 hour because everybody can't just throw it all the way. I hear you, Tina. You have to say, if overeating is my addiction and today I ate a snack between every meal, next week I'm only going to eat a snack after lunch. That's my one snack that I'm going to do. Start ramping down your habit. Don't try to fool yourself into thinking I'm just going to wake up and be free and I'm done, because that's how we flunk quick and that's how we get into that cycle of recycling. Start ramping down your habit. Listen, you would be surprised at what your body reinforces itself with, how it builds up resistance if you just start ramping down your habit. If you are with somebody that keeps you in bondage and you talk to them all day long, every single day, start ramping down. Only talk to them between this hour and this hour. Start ramping down your habits, because you will see when you start ramping down those habits, now you're not so accustomed. Your life is going to start readjusting itself because you aren't so involved with what was keeping you in bondage. Here's the next one. Get your environment ready. I hope I'm helping you. Get your environment ready. If you're trying to get free, let me break this down. Let me just go ahead and break this down so that you hear it. If you're trying to get free, and I'm walking you through the steps of deliverance, because like I said earlier, it's a misnomer. Yes, there are some things that happen instantaneous, and we would love to wake up and be free of smoking and be free of adultery and be free of all of these things. But for a lot of us, what we have to do is ramp ourselves. There is a process of deliverance. And a lot of times we get delivered and we can't stay delivered because we don't understand that we're transformed by the renewing of our minds. And so what I am doing is giving you a play-by-play. Here is how we get ourselves towards deliverance. So I said, set a date and mark it. Seek support. Identify your triggers. Start ramping down your habit. Now get your environment ready. Listen, when I say environment, I'm just going to be real raw and relevant. I'm talking about it in a lot of ways. Get your mental environment ready. If you are addicted to something and your mind is always thinking about it, your mind has been conditioned, then looks like to me you need to shift over to whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of a good report, whatsoever things are honest. You've got to be renewed and transformed by the renewing of your mind. If you are a habitual cheater, then you got to get your mental capacity ready for faithfulness. You got to get your body ready for abstinence. You've got to prepare yourself, your environment, your spiritual environment. If you're always listening at songs that are keeping you in lust, if you're always looking at TV that's got your body all hot and bothered, if you're always being in environments with people and the only thing that they're ever talking about is sex, if you're always watching reality TV and all they're doing is laying up and lying, then that is the environment that you're creating. But if you want to get free, then you got to clean up. You got to clean up your mental capacity. You got to clean up your ear gates. You got to clean up what you watch. You got to clean up your language. What are you saying about yourself? What are you saying about your environment, your situation? You've got to clean up your emotions, especially if you are manipulated, especially if you're repressed, especially if you deal in depression. You've got to get your environment ready. Now, here is the thing. You've got to clean up in the natural. Stop keeping screenshots from women you're trying to get past. Stop keeping screenshots and old pictures and old text messages from men that you're trying to break free of. I'm trying to help us get free. I just said at the beginning, a lot of us that have strongholds and struggles, we really want to get free. But these are the things that keep us bound. If you know that you have a problem with somebody, you addicted to this woman, you're addicted to this man, hear me. Get rid of those pictures. Stop screenshotting all y'all text messages so you can look back at them later. If there is a song that is a trigger and it makes you remember the last time y'all were together, get that out of your playlist. Stop driving by the park where y'all were. Stop driving by the hotel you spent the night at. Stop looking at the last vacation that you spent with that person. This is how you get free. You've got to clean up your environment. Stop holding on to that negligee. Stop holding on to that jewelry. Stop. Those things are anchors. Stop keeping those bottles in the house. Stop holding on to them. Let me save this site on my favorites. Let me watch this in my privacy mode because I'm going to come back to that. Listen to me. Clean up your environment because this is how you walk towards freedom. This is how you operate in deliverance. You have got to get to the point where you get rid of those remnants, where you get rid of those things that are anchoring you to addictions, that are anchoring you down to the place where you're not able to walk in wholeness. Now, the last thing that I'm going to tell you, and I'm getting ready to get out of here tonight, is the quitting and withdrawal. This is the thing that we don't like to give a lot of thought to. When it's time to really draw the line and get out of these addictions and get away from these strongholds, the last step is the quitting and withdrawal part. The first thing you have to do is stop the behavior. You have to say, I got to stop lying. I got to stop smoking. I got to stop drinking. I got to stop watching porn. I got to stop cheating on my wife. I got to stop tipping out on my husband. I got to stop spending money that I don't have. I've got to stop. You stop the behavior. Thank you, Pastor D. I appreciate it. Secondly, when you stop the behavior, guess what you have to do? Fill that time with something else. There is no point of stopping the behavior if you're not going to fill the time with something else. If you know that you have a problem with things, if you know that you have an addiction to something and you're stopping the behavior, then whatever those time frames you were doing it, you've got to fill that time with something else. If you know already that every Thursday night at 9:00 p.m., that's usually the time where you want to creep, that's usually the time where you start texting trying to see what's up, that's usually the time where you try to get out of there because you want to fulfill your flesh. If you know, fill that time with something else. Go ahead and make movie plans with your friends. Go ahead and say, kids, you know what? We're going to watch the movies, go to the movies tonight. Go ahead and say, honey, we're going to go out to eat about 8 o'clock, and we're going to stay out during that time. If you want to walk towards true deliverance, I'm trying to help you guys. This is why we all of us want a potion, something that's going to sprinkle on our head and instantaneously we wake up and we free. But listen, I have been in bondage. I have dealt with strongholds. I have been wrapped up and tied up. And let me tell you something. It is a process. You got to, number one, decide. I said number one, if you came on late, decide to quit. If it seems evil to you, stop giving the burden of your bondage onto somebody else and admit, listen, I'm the one that has that behavior. I'm the one that keeps creeping and tipping. I'm the one that keeps turning that bottle up. I'm the one that keeps going to the store buying those cigarettes. I'm the one that keeps texting that married man. I'm the one that's doing it. So number one, I have to make a decision that I'm going to quit. I'm writing down the things that are harmful. How is this negatively impacting my life? Is it causing me to lie? Is it causing me to tip out? Is it causing me to expose my body to things, to diseases, to things that I don't even know anything about? The next thing I said was find you some reasons to quit because you want to be whole. I said make a plan, set a date, seek some support, identify your triggers, start ramping down little by little of your habit, and get your environment ready. Your spiritual, your mental, your emotional, your psychological environment. Clean it up, get it ready. The next thing I said, you've got to stop the behavior. Stop sleeping with him. Stop tipping out. Stop drinking. Stop smoking. What I mean is, I'm not talking about cold turkey. I'm talking about that date that you set for yourself. I'm going to stop doing. You wake up that day and say, all right, today, about this time, I usually go watch porn. Stop. About this day, I usually get on the internet and start spending my money online shopping. Stop. About this time, I usually text old girl so I can creep. Stop. But fill your time with something else. I said earlier that you have to identify your triggers. What am I putting in place of that time? Could this be a time where I could be praying? Could this be a time where I could be spending time with my children? Could this be a time where I could be meditating? Could this be a time where I could be learning something new? What can I do? Where can I fill this time with something else? Number 3, steer clear of your triggers. If you know that if you go to the bar, you're going to want to drink, stop going to the bar. You see how simple that sounds? If you know that you're a habitual cheater and you know that going to the club puts you in an environment to cheat, stop going to the club. I'm trying to help you all. If you know that these things are triggers, stop doing them. Steer clear of your triggers. You've got to figure out, wait a minute, these screenshots make me slip. When I go back and look at these old cards that I've been holding for 20 years, they make me want to dip. I know that when I watch a movie on Netflix, it get me in my feelings and make me want to quit. I'm telling you, steer clear of your triggers. If your trigger is you stalking old boy on social media, you stalking old girl, you got your thing set to where she's a priority. You see her first. Anytime she put a post up, you see it first. You want that to be the first thing. Listen, that's a trigger, because the first time you see him or her doing something that you feel like is away from what you're doing, now you want to call them. Now you want to text them. Why you got a picture up of you? That's your boo. Now you want to get involved. Steer clear of your triggers. Some people you just got to unfollow. Some people you just got to unfriend. Some people you just can't text. Some people you can only talk to between the hours of 9 a.m. and 12 noon. You can't talk to them afternoon because your body is not situated to be able to deal with them. Some people you can't go out with at night. Some people y'all got to make day trips. Some people you can't spend the night with. Y'all can't have overnight trips. You just got to keep that thing in the daytime. You've got to identify your triggers and then steer clear. I'm trying to help us get free. The next thing is don't give in to your rationalizations. A lot of times what we try to do is rationalize it. We try to get it in our mind. Well, if I just do it this time, the world won't stop. Yeah, I know I said I was going to leave that alone, but I don't know if this time they might have changed. How will I know if I'm free if I don't get in front of them again? Listen to me. You better hear me. Don't give in to your rationalizations. If you didn't get free these last 5 months, you've been trying to get rid of it. If you hadn't got delivered in these last 6 years, listen to me. Steer clear of those rationalizations, and you better keep it moving so that you can get free. Here's the last, I have 2 more and I'm done. Don't let your relapse be your end. Hear me. One of the first things that I did at the beginning of this segment was have everybody to type in, I am not perfect. First thing I said when I came on was, my name is Elisa LaShell and I am not perfect, which means I don't care how much we got a made up mind. I don't care how happy we are about Jesus. There are some times in our lives where we are going to flunk, where we are going to mess up, where we are not going to give it right. I thought I had that down pat, but God dog it, she got me again. He got me. That got me. I flunked, I tipped, I dipped, I smoked, I did whatever that was. I messed up. But what happens is we let that be the end. We tell ourselves, well, I fell off the wagon. We tell ourselves, no hope for me. I'm done. I will never get free. Listen to me. Don't let your relapse be your end. I don't care if you have to come back and watch this show later and put it in your saved videos. Don't let the relapse be the end. You can come back. You can start back over. You can get free. You can say, wait a minute, I messed up. I flunked. I didn't get it right that time. But guess what? There is still hope for me. Don't let your relapse be the end. And last but not least, celebrate your accomplishments. When you do get it right, when you do finally overcome something, even if it's a little at the time, even if you say, you know what, today I didn't cheat until Wednesday. Usually I start cheating on Monday. Let me celebrate the fact that at least I made it to Wednesday. Today I didn't overeat until 5. Usually I start overeating at 10. Let me celebrate the accomplishment, my little accomplishments. Today I didn't drink. Usually I wake up already drunk, but this time I went to bed. So celebrate the accomplishments. Sometimes what happens is we're so critical of ourselves. We are our worst critic, but we rarely are our biggest cheerleader. Let me tell you something. You won't always have somebody on your shoulder giving you a pat and telling you good job. You got to figure out how to encourage yourself. I don't care if you have to put sticky notes all over your house that says you can do it, you can make it, try it again. Better luck next time. You can do it. Greater is he that is within you. You better figure out a way to celebrate the small steps, because pretty soon when you stay encouraged the next time around, you know what, I can do that a little longer. I believe I can resist a little longer. I believe I can go a little further this time. Celebrate the times when you do get it right. Celebrate the times when you are able to do better. And this is the way that you can get better. This is the way that you get to a place of help, of hope, and of healing. Listen, guys, I'm Elisa LaShell, the Empowerment Specialist, and tonight was all about being free, getting delivered, overcoming addictions and struggles. My hope and my prayer is that when you came onto this broadcast tonight, that you found help, hope, and healing.